Okay. So this is the alt account for those of you guys that haven't seen. It's the new player account that I've been running here, and we're gonna actually do some rolls. It is anniversary time, so there's, well, actually, hold on. It's anniversary time, so I should relog and yeah, and get the quartz from that. Time for NP5 here as well. No, I mean just even getting one copy would be ideal. I guess I'll take that. Let's select these, because if I try to pull them out one by one, the game's gonna scream at me. Yeah, so it looks like this is gonna be all that I really get in this front. Is it's like 106 quartz, but that's better than nothing. It's pretty much the just like bare bones giveaway. And again, you can see I can get more if I do other stuff like, hey, take Billy the Kid and stuff like that. So it'll definitely be a thing for people to do. Make sure you guys are doing your missions here as the anniversary pops up. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take all this quartz that we've gotten, and we're going to be trying to grab here an Aece copy. There is Destiny Order and GSSR. If you're somebody that wants to spend money on the game, I highly recommend them. For me personally, I have been operating this account free to play, so sadly we will not be doing those on this account. But it is what it is. And again, I did talk about this Salter banner is actually really tempting, but right now I think we'd be a fool not to go for Aesc here. So we don't have a paid quartz. Just as proof, you can see I've never bought any quartz on this account. But we do have some summons. We do also have the tickets here that I should be able to grab, as we do have at least 710 mana prisms. I'm gonna grab that. They're actually really cheap to get the tickets here. We're gonna grab the monthly tickets there. That's all we're gonna spend for right now. All right, that gives us 38 tickets, and we're actually gonna roll our tickets single here. This is gonna give us quite a bit of opportunity, and this is actually a huge opportunity for our account to just get better as a whole as a new player. We don't have a whole lot of high profile craft essences. Again, you can see like just about every single 3-star and stuff is going to be new for us here. We've really only very limitedly rolled in the quartz gacha so far on this count to this point. So a lot of stuff, we're more looking at this from a new player perspective. Anything I can get my hands on is good. This is actually going to be a Shufu here, which is not bad. And part of the reason I know that she's the only 3-star alter ego, so unless that spooked and went higher, but even then, she's the only permanent alter ego as far as I understand it. Chasmatis, this is amazing. This is a really good CE for this account, because this is just another 50% charge CE. So that is a huge get for this account, as this has 50% starting charge, attack up, NP charge level increased by 1, so that's your overcharge. And then also NP gain of 5%. So really nice there as a pickup for this account. And again, usually I like to roll my tickets in batches of 10. It's up to you. You don't have to. Beginning of Ambition is an OKCE. Just to quickly show you guys this one, it's arts card effectiveness and HP recovery amount. Definitely decent on like an arts support that can heal. You could also end up like throwing this on an arts damage dealer that you know is going to need a lot of healing. So it's up to you to kind of pick that thing out. But honestly, that's a CE that I don't use very often, if ever, really. But hey, when you're a newer account, sometimes you got to go with what you got to go with. Ah, Lubu. I don't have him on this account yet. Lubu is actually an exceedingly hard-hitting single-target berserker, but he has no survivability, so that's going to be one of the big issues with him. He doesn't really say much of anything intelligible, because a lot of the early game berserkers just kind of scream. And that's just how berserkers are in Fate. Another Divine Construct. Divine Construct's actually a pretty good 3-star CE. Just to very quickly show it off and talk about it again. It's NP strength to 15% if it's on the Saber class. So obviously not the best, right? But not the worst either if you use some of these CEs appropriately on their right class. Archer? Kid Gil. So in a weird way, Kid Gil's just definitely not the best archer in the game, but even he, there's a saying that there's no such thing as a bad archer in FGO, and he's kind of the epitome of that. Very middling kit, but it's still just a solid kit. He's got party-wide charisma. He still manages to have the capability of dealing okay damage, so he's an AoE buster archer, but you can see it's just one of those deals where it's like, yeah, even an investment into Kid Gil would not in theory be bad. So a lot of how I choose to look at the game is through the lens of like, how can you use units effectively, and some of them are very good. Now Jildaray Saber, on the other hand, I just don't really advise investing in him. There are much better sabers you can get. In a Corner of the Light is a new CE for this banner. I guess it's okay for the buff removal resistance that it has, but otherwise I'm not a huge fan of this CE. I wouldn't say that you should use it. So now we're at our 10th summon here, and this is actually where you get the free 11th summon on top of it. This will happen every single time you do a multi or you do 10 summons. You will get the 11th summon free on top of it. So it's one of the reasons why I summon in batches of 10. So we get Reality Marble here. This one's a pretty decent one as well. And Imaginary Around. Ooh, that's actually pretty decent for this. So Imaginary Around's a really good quick up CE. This is one of the like basic general pool 5-star CEs. Maybe not like the best thing I could have ever pulled, but this is just, if I have a quick unit, this is a solid craft essence for them, and it is also all attack scaling. All right, we still have 28 tickets. So basically we're going to do 20 more tickets in effect. I'm going to leave those last 8 tickets until there's a like full rate up of 10. Royal Presence is not a bad 4-star CE. This is actually another really good get. This is a 50% starting charge CE. This is actually a newer craft essence in the game. Oh, sorry, no, I'm confusing it. This is a newer craft essence in the game. I'm confusing it with the 50% buster up CE. That's a 4-star. This one is NP gain and quick card effectiveness. So still pretty decent in a weird way. In some ways, that might actually be better than the one we just got, which was the 5-star CE. So yeah, you just got to kind of like figure out what craft essences are good at and how you can utilize them. And then Ruined Church here is another new one for us. Again, 15% special defense against males for yourself. So if you have a really nasty male boss and he's like pounding the crap out of you, hey, there you go. That's a good C, at least to reduce damage. It can be decent to maybe throw on like a support or something that you're worried about, like their staying power and the ability to like stay alive in the fight. Oh, a spooking caster here. So this, or sparking, not spooking. Oh my god. All right, now that I can't help. That is just pure luck. So on raw tickets, this account just pulled the 5-star off of this banner, and that is where I'm just gonna take it and run. So Aesc is a very, very, very good 5-star unit, and this is huge for this account because we've gotten lucky early with a roll. What does that mean? We don't have to spend quartz here now. We could obviously roll deeper and try to get more copies of her. That would certainly make her stronger and make her better. But instead, especially for a more free-to-play person, my advice, especially early, is don't go deeper for units. Instead, try to get more. There are some instances of like, hey, when a unit is just really, really dominant and good, getting multiple MP levels can be a smart move. But frankly speaking, we have 450 quartz still. We've got a ton of quartz fragments. If you look at this, this is basically the equivalent of 28 more quartz, which is almost a multi in and of itself. So this is just absolutely fantastic for our account. We could obviously try to get MP2 to make her stronger, but to me, this is a great sign to take the quartz we have and run. And we will leave this for a later banner in which we could kind of get more units that'll help this account out. Now, the problem with this is going to be a very difficult investment because Aesc is going to use a lot of materials that we just don't have access to yet. She is an LB6 related unit. So if you're unfamiliar with the story flow of FGO, there's part 1, which are your singularities. There's part 2, which are your lost belts. She's somebody that's related to lost belt 6. So she's way deeper in the story. We are only on singularity 3 right now in the game. We are in Okeanos. So picking her up and getting access to her materials, not going to be the easiest thing. This is one of those scenarios where it might be a good idea to come on down to the shop over here, scroll all the way down to the pure prism section. As you guys can see, it'll be right under mana prisms. And this would actually be a pretty decent use of your pure prism. So if you go look at the materials that she needs, particularly some of those, let's say, later materials. So something where it's like, hey, you know, the early materials, you might not need too many of them, or you might be able to gain access to them easily. Those are not going to be what you want to spend pure prisms on. You want to spend pure prisms, for instance, chat's been saying it all day because this is a new unit, but she uses small bells of absolution. This is a Lost Belt 6 locked material. I can't get this until I get to Lost Belt 6, short of maybe seeing it in an event somewhere. So this might be a decent idea to go ahead and spend pure prisms on. That being said, I haven't done enough of stories, so I don't really have a whole lot of pure prisms. So as of right now, until I get her to the point that I actually need these, I'm not going to spend it. But I'm bringing it up for you in case you start getting kind of like zealous with that new unit you got. You're like, man, you're really gung-ho, and you start leveling them up and you get stuck. For me personally, I think the big thing for a new player is actually instead to look at using pure prisms maybe for ascension requirements rather than skill levels. Skill levels are certainly big for a unit, but if you are stuck and you can't even level the unit or you can't get access to their skills, that's gonna kind of be the bigger concern rather than leveling the actual skill. So to me, that's where I would look at this a little bit more from that perspective, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys my 2 cents. Also, again, in general, usually better to spend pure prisms instead on things like gold materials rather than bronze or silver, because you get a little bit more like bang for your buck value in terms of farming efficiency out of spending it on these. But there is, you know, something to be said about just getting a unit that you desperately need up and online and effective early. Ascensions also give pure prisms. Yes, there are other ways to get pure prisms too, so. Gold mat farming as well, yep. But yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. We got away with murder right there. So that is beautiful. I could not have asked for more. Just taking a look at this. So I definitely know that we have even more upcoming. You know, obviously these are the GSSRs, and looking through them, some of them are super tempting because this account desperately needs some meta supports, and they're all kind of here. For instance, if you just want me to point out what some of them are to you guys, I will go ahead. So in terms of meta supports, so this is the Destiny Order. The Destiny Order is where you're going to pick one of each of the 7 base class units, and then one each for the extra 1 and extra 2 groupings. You'll have to pick a unit for each of those slots. You'll make your choice, you'll slot them in, the game will roll, and then you will get guaranteed 1 of your 9 choices. You're not going to get multiple of them necessarily, though in theory it's possible, but you're literally going to only get 1. But it's really nice because you get to choose who can be like on that list of 9 units. So it's only going to give you 1 of them. And you're only going to get the 1 spin, but it's still, or well, sorry, not 1 spin, but 1 multi. So you're still going to be, again, capable of kind of choosing your own destiny there. And that's why it's kind of the Destiny Order summon. GSSRs are a lot more like random, but they do have pools, and the pools for this GSSR in particular are actually really good because they're fairly small. They're 4 or 3 units in most cases, and that's really, really nice. So just pointing out our meta supports right here, Castoria is the game's like premier meta support. She is just arguably the best in the game for a lot of reasons. She's a really good art support unit that facilitates both challenge content and farming. You have Miss Crane, who's kind of an off meta support. I don't really recommend her for a new player, but it is what it is. Koyanskaya is the game's sort of premier farming buster support at the current moment in time. Really, really solid unit. Koyanskaya of Dark is sort of a spin-off of her, kind of another offshoot. So another kind of off-meta support, but still a good support there. Summer Scotty is the game's currently best, like, quick support. Mostly for farming purposes, but Quick kind of struggles right now a little bit with its challenge support units. A lot of the times it has to kind of maybe steal from other card types for certain things like that, or rely on the strength of the individual units to carry it through. But still, very, very good for farming capability, and Summer Scotty is basically an improved version of the original Scotty in that regard. Then over here we have Lady Avalon. Lady Avalon is sort of the arts version of Merlin. That is to say, she is literally female Merlin, and she is a very, very solid challenge unit. She has party-wide invuln. She literally has the ability to charge the party per turn and heal the party up front with her NP. So she's really good at what we like to call sustain, basically keeping your units in fights longer and allowing you to kind of go the distance against an enemy. And then Oberon here is the game's premier damage support. The reason I call him damage, he's technically a buster support, but he's so strong at what he does that he works in other card types. He's also the only support unit in the game that gives basically 70% charge to a unit. Most other supports are capped out at 50%. This is what makes Oberon just such an extremely strong pick. And you might be thinking, like, why is he that way when everybody else is 50%? Why is he 70? And why does he also give some insane damage boosting? The answer is because there's a little bit of a downside. The downside is his third skill, while it does give a ton of damage amplification, particularly for NP damage up sources, it will absolutely brick the unit at the end of the turn. So you have to be very selective about when and where you use it. But yes, it's just an extremely powerful tool in the right hands. And yeah, there you go. So those are all of your GSSRs, at least the meta sort of units on that. Yeah, Johanna, just real quick, let's flip right back through it because chat's pointing out that I did kind of forget one there. Where was she? There she is. Johanna is an AoE arts ruler, but she's also got targeted arts up and crit damage support, so she is a little bit of another like off meta support, as we were mentioning before. Definitely this one's a solid banner for a lot of the units that are on it. It's actually the GSSR I picked on my main one, but again, it's not something you guys have to pick. Chat, the greed is strong in me right now. I am going to spend the remaining 20 tickets on the Maid Altar and Salter banner. Absolutely, this is not a smart decision, but the greed's gonna win here, and we're just gonna kind of go for it. I'm just gonna see if I can kind of pull more stuff out of this. But at least it's a different banner. We have different rate ups kind of at play here. Honest to God, if I can snipe either one of these units just kind of scot-free here, this would be fantastic. We get Alexander. I don't believe I had him on this account yet. He's actually a pretty serviceable AoE rider. He doesn't really have any charge, but he's definitely solid on the damage front. And he's basically the younger version of Iskandar, and he definitely has the capability of like enhancing a little bit of quick damage for the party as well as charming enemy units. Ryudoji Temple's actually not the worst CE in the world to acquire, and I'm kind of happy to finally have it. So it increases MP strength by 10% at the beginning of battle, and at the beginning of the battle, increase NP charge by 20% as well. And I believe that goes up to 30% at MLB. So definitely a nice one. A lot of these 3-star Cs, they're not the best, but one, they're good for party cost concerns, and two, when you get them to MLB, they do get better. So eventually, via the FP pool, you're going to get a lot of these things at MLB, and you'll be very happy to at least have that. Okay, attack debuff resist by 25% is not the best CE effect in the game. I'm a huge proponent, though, of locking every CE, at least like the initial version of a CE, you get lock it down, make sure you keep copies of it. That way you give yourself options. And wow, that is a fantastic CE roll. So Victor of the Moon is one of the game's arguably best CEs in terms of buster and crit damage performance. It is one of the few CEs that if you manage to get it to MLB actually scales up to 2400 attack. Most other CEs, when they're maxed out, will scale up to only 2,000 attack. So this is one of the relics of the original game where there were a couple of CEs that they actually let go up to that level, and it is still very, very strong. So you can see Buster Card effectiveness is only 10%, but critical strength is 20%. So these two effects combine, definitely a force multiplier, especially with the all attack scaling here. It's a really, really good craft essence to put on somebody that you know is just gonna have to like Buster crit their way through things or card their way through things that is a Buster unit. Necromancy. Yes, I'm actually kind of happy to have this unit. So when I first started out my JP account, Necro memes got me through a couple of really nasty challenge fights, and I suspect I will have to do that again. Necromancy is a very, very nice CE to have for sort of staying power. It's not good for damage output by any stretch of the imagination, but it entirely lives and dies off the fact that a dead damage dealer does no damage. And if you can't kill the person, they'll still keep going. So you can see here, Necromancy basically has a chance to trigger Guts. That chance is relatively low, but I have seen it. My current record is 9 procs in a row off of a Necromancy. It's hilarious, but also almost frustrating at that point when you go like, wait, why won't this unit die? And they just keep popping right back up with the Necromancy proc. So it's totally random. It could definitely be really, really good, but it can also just be a complete nothing and you could have no Guts trigger at all. So it's sort of like playing Russian roulette with this sort of thing. A video just soloing God Juna in LB4 because he wouldn't die. Of Enkidu? Yep. You can't be like... So we just pulled Necromancy, we've just pulled it again. The odds of that are extremely low, and somehow it managed to happen. As the Necro memes procced and showed up again. Memes, let there be memes, yes. Alright, we get a caster here, and it's Geronimo. So Geronimo has infamously one of the singular worst hits in the game. It's just incredibly simplistic, incredibly boring, and bad. That being said, due to his noble phantasm and the actual strength that it has, Geronimo's not a bad unit. He's actually fairly solid as an AoE arts caster. He can basically heal the party. He can basically arts loop to a large degree, even assuming you can brute force him. That's going to take some levels of support there, but yeah, he gets kind of a bad rap for his kit, but his actual performance is not too terrible. Death success rate here is interesting, but death is kind of a meme in this game. I don't really recommend it. Is Aesc your first Saberface? No. Oh, Phantasmal Species. Oh, I guess I already had it. I didn't remember that, but... Oh yeah, this is the Rider class one. Okay, I did have it. Alright, there we go. We have another 11 spin here. G-Man just has a bad kit. His actual MP isn't too bad. Yeah, a lot of people just want that kit improved. The Berserker here. Darius, yes. Darius is fantastic for this account because Darius is a really low cost investment 3-star Berserker. So this is just going to mean he's somebody that I can level up and I really don't have to mess too much with the skills. His output just is what it is. And so in that regard, he's going to be a really, really decent early game unit for us. He's certainly not the strongest Berserker by far, but he is absolutely going to be A-okay in the sense that, like, we're just not going to have to do too much in order to get him at full capacity. We will have to do a couple of upgrades for him, but that's really all there is to it. Another Hydra Dagger. Even gold enemies have low death rates. Yep. Kind of like Caligula. Caligula you don't have to invest too much in. To me, Caligula's biggest issue is you have to set him up and surround him for success. All right, we got Soul Eater here. Soul Eater is another interesting one because it's just like that Phantasmal one we just showed you guys. It's just the caster variant of it. What's the cheapest method of buying Sancors to get both Destiny Order and Lucky Bag? That I don't know. Normally, I personally just buy a max pack for myself just due to the efficiency of it because you get the most quartz out of doing that. But some people will definitely like, I think there's like a 30 pack, isn't there, chat? And then like a 16 pack or something. I don't remember. But remember, it does have to be all paid quartz. And then Elixir of Love here, which increases your charm success rate. This one, not really too big of a deal to me. Most units nowadays have decent charm like rates, assuming you've leveled the skill. If you haven't leveled the skill, it may be a concern, but I think for most people, they're not going to use that CE too often. Because if you're having to rely explicitly on the charm rate, you may be in a bad situation. All right, another Saber here. Fergus, so we get an additional MP copy of him. Again, Fergus isn't too strong, but he's not like the worst unit in the game by any stretch of the imagination. He's just a solid AoE Saber, so that's basically all we're going to go with. I'm just going to lock him for right now so I don't accidentally burn him. We've only got a couple more tickets left on this. There's a little bit of thinking that had to go on there. We get a Servant. Lancer. Romulus. Okay, so we get an additional MP level for Romulus as well. And again, Romulus is the actual Lancer I'm currently working on just because he's actually got quite a robust kit for a 3-star. He is a Emperor, and a lot of Emperors in the game have a unique Imperial Privilege skill. And it works up really, really well for him. All right, we get Atlas Institute. So this one, as you can see, is just Arts NP strength up by 15%. Not bad, honest to God. If you're going to use an Arts unit, that's definitely, there's worse CEs, basically. Battle of Camlann. This one's actually a really good craft essence, particularly for new accounts. Battle of Camlann is your go-to CE when you know the unit's gonna die. And what it does is when the enemy defeats that unit that has Battle of Camlann equipped, it's going to just charge everybody else in the party's gauge. So this is, hey, one of your units dies, the other 2 units are gonna get this 10% charge. And at MLB, I believe it's 20%. I'd have to double check. But again, it's just a really, really solid CE if you know a unit's going to go down and you know you're like they're not going to be sticking around for very long. All right, this one is our multi-spin. We get another Servant here. Another Lancer. Is it Romulus again? No, this one's Hector. Hector's another decent farming option for an AoE Lancer. To me, I prefer Romulus's kit a little bit more due to its well-roundedness, but Hector's not terrible. And Guardians of the Garden is definitely a good pull. I believe this is the NP gain variant. I'd have to double check. Yep. So this is starting charge of 30% and NP gain of 15% when you begin battle. At MLB, that starting charge goes up to 50%. So this is definitely a really, really good one to pull. Doubly so if you can manage to get it to MLB eventually. This will help bail you out. So it'll be really, 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 really nice in that regard. But again, I'm not going to touch the courts here. That's basically all of our tickets. We're not going to, unfortunately, get a unit out of this. I'm not really going up to pity, but we're going to start saving a lot of this for later, as we will have not only a rotational raid up banner that you see here. So right now is Da Vinci on raid up. We're also going to have summer coming in hot off the heels of this. And that's actually going to be where I'm probably going to roll to get some decent mileage out of that. So this one's going to be a pretty short session. In the off time for what I have been doing for this, I have been basically working on kind of just getting some more caster ascension materials off of the training grounds for casters. I've been working on just kind of doing a couple of like daily ember gatherings and such to get myself more materials. Right now is actually a really good time to farm dailies during the anniversary because everything is half cost. And then basically besides that, I have, whoops, hold on, let me roll back here. Basically besides that, I think I advanced a slight tad in Okeanos. We are now in section 12. I think I left the last part off when we were at section 11 and like we were kind of like halfway through it. So I only advanced a little bit more, but yeah, I will definitely make sure to cover this with you guys on the next session. That way you guys actually get to see it properly, because Okeanos at least has, it's kind of the start of maybe some of the gimmick fights. And that's why I wanted you guys to be able to see it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this new players section. I will see you guys for the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.